Here we are, bonus episode 6, moving right along in the tournament. We are getting close to the end of the first bracket here, so this things are about to ramp up, in my opinion. I am Russ. Along with me for the ride, as always, is Kyle and Michelle.
Hi.
Are you guys ready for this one?
Oh,
I'm ready.
Sweet.
I'm pumped.
Sweet. Oh, pumped even. Cool. So for those of you who have been along for this so far, you know the deal. This is just for fun. Kyle and I picked 8 albums that we like. They're going up against each other every week. We present a case for them. Michelle decides which album moves on, and then we'll circle back to them later in the tournament. Last week, we had the Weeknd's debut album, The Trilogy, up against Pearl Jam's debut album, 10, 2 monster records by anyone's standards, except for Michelle, who gave both records a stunning 5 out of 10, but Pearl Jam was able to eke out the victory and move on. Side note, I saw the other day that someone wished you a happy birthday on your Facebook page, and it said, I hope your day was a solid 5 out of 10, which I thought was amazing.
Yeah.
So moving right along, this week's matchup is a album from 2019, Dermot Kennedy with his album Without Fear versus an album from 1966, The Beach Boys' Pet Sounds. So this is, in my opinion, about the point where the tournament is getting serious, and this week, next week, and the week after are the final rounds of this first part, and this is getting serious. So Kyle, why don't you kick things off as usual and talk to us about Dermot Kennedy, Without Fear.
We always talk about debut records from people that are absolutely fantastic, and this is yet another one of them. This is his first official major release. He did do like a mixtape or something beforehand, and I feel like maybe a lot of people don't even know who he is overall. He's maybe not all that popular, but when it comes to this record, it is absolutely fantastic, and I much like all of the things that I put on here, I could pretty much listen to it straight through, and it kind of carries you, almost like an emotional roller coaster kind of way. The way the production is done is, it's just, it's awesome.
Yeah, I will say that. I didn't make that as a note, but you're absolutely right. The production on it was fantastic.
Yeah, and I originally found out about this guy because his mixtape was produced by Mike Dean, and I don't know if I assume that some of you listening know who Mike Dean is, but he's a huge legendary music producer, and it was just called Mike Dean Presents Dermot Kennedy, and I was like, okay, well, if he's co-signing him, then I'm going to give it a listen, and I thought it was great, and then this came out, and I was like, holy shit, this is great as well. And like I said, I could listen to the entire thing all the way through. There are, I want to say, there is a song on the radio of his, which was like his first single that came off of that, which should be Power Over Me. Yeah, Power Over Me is the song that you and everybody else probably have heard on the radio at some point.
I haven't heard it on the radio yet, but that was one of 3 that I picked out that were standout tracks for me. So,
and I'm really awful with song names in general for everything. So like when I listen to this album, I usually just listen to it all the way through, and then I get mixed up as to which song is which, and so on and so forth. But overall, great record. Like I said, it's his first record. I'm excited to see what he has up his sleeve coming out next.
Great record. Great record.
It's my goal to hit that every single time someone utters that phrase. So I was a little bit behind on that, but it's my goal to hit that drop every single time someone uses that phrase. So, okay, I had never heard Dermot Kennedy prior to this. Now, I'm sorry, I had heard Power Over Me because it was on a playlist that I think you added it to our playlist, Michelle, at some point. And so I had heard that song, but I didn't know that it was a single or anything along those lines. So my first thought when listening to the record was neither of these are bad points. Really reminded me of David Gray and later Mumford. Not, and I want to be clear, not early Mumford. Less banjo, more atmospheric sounds, but much better production, in my opinion, in the later Mumford material, and that's what this record reminded me of. I thought the opening track was fantastic. The other standout tracks for me were The Corner. I liked Outgrown a lot, and of course I liked Power Over Me a lot. But here is my negative point for this record. I listened to this front to back 5 times. And all 5 times that I did, I found myself, which is, in those of you who know me, this is very rare for me. I found myself like 3 or 4 songs later, I would be like, damn it, I wasn't paying attention, which is very weird for me. Like, I'm the guy who is like listening to every, ride hit and every bass line change and every little production thing. And for some reason, and I tried to listen to this record 5 times over the course of a week, and every single time I kept going, oh, God damn it, I got to go back. I wasn't paying attention to those, last 2 songs or last 3 songs. And I don't think
you're right. You're right about that. I agree. And I do that a lot with all kinds of music. So it's normal for me, but yeah, I agree with you.
Now I'm going to put myself on blast here and say it could be user error. Like, for example, a couple episodes ago when I completely lost my mind on Michelle for doing the same thing with the Dark Side of the Moon. Like, I was just stunned and amazed that she could have the nerve to do that with the Dark Side of the Moon. And I absolutely was convinced and remain convinced that that was user error as far as listening to the Dark Side of the Moon.
We can agree on that.
So it very well could be the case. But at the risk of sounding pretentious, I'm not known for that. Like, I'm known for being able to lock in and pay attention. So I want to say it's not user error, but I'm willing to float that idea out there. But the biggest compliment that I can give the record, and I think you guys know me well enough, Michelle and Kyle, and I hope the listeners know me well enough by now to know that when I say, oh, this sounds like this, it's almost never meant in a derogatory fashion, and it certainly isn't here. When I say this sounds like David Gray, I mean it as a compliment. And I'll tell you, I sure as hell mean it as a compliment when I say it sounds like later Mumford. Because for me, Mumford doesn't even start till the 3rd record, and I love the last 2. So
yeah, I agree with you. I definitely do hear David Gray and Mumford.
In the best way.
Sure.
In the best way.
Yeah.
So
wait. Mumford doesn't start till the 3rd record?
Yeah, I mean, I own all 4, but the first 2 are hot garbage compared to the last 2.
Okay, we're gonna have to take that offline.
Yeah, absolutely, no problem.
off the online.
We live a half mile away. I could meet you in the middle. We can fight.
Let's fight in the street.
Yeah, let's do it.
One weird thing I did notice about this album is that, so he's Irish, and he sounds Irish when he's singing, which is rare. I feel like most singers, when they're singing English, they sound like they're American almost.
Mm-hmm.
So, but here you can really tell in some points where his Irish accent really comes out in the music itself.
Oh, for sure. When I was 6, 7, 8 years old, I was I would hear Boy George or George Michael speak on the Grammys or whatever, and I would be like, wait, what? Because they sang with such a strong American accent, and then they'd get up and accept their award, and I'd be like, you're not even American. Shock and awe. And yeah, when you listen to this record, there is no question where Dermot Kennedy is from.
That blows my mind that actors and musicians can do that to where they just sound completely different from where they're from.
Yeah. Well, and I think
side note, the best person I've ever seen do that is Hugh Laurie.
Yeah. What I was going to say, as far as music goes, the best person I've ever seen do it is John Ozzy Osbourne, who can barely speak English with any accent. I have Ozzy live records where he's like, and then they get into the song. He's like, crazy, but that's how it goes. And you're like, what?
So you know how it's supposed to sound. You just don't.
Yeah, you just choose not to. Kyle, do you have any closing comments on that? Like I say, as far as Dermot Kennedy goes, the biggest detractor for me was that I zoned out several times, which is very unusual for me, but there was a lot of positive there too.
Closing, it's hard for me to really explain. People just need to listen to the album, or listen to, if you want to, start with Power Over Me. That's the single that was out, or is out, whatever. So you can start with that and then listen to the whole album.
Right on.
And then, yeah, you can form your opinion off that.
Right on. Sliding it on back from 2019 all the way back to 1966, we're going to talk about the Beach Boys' seminal record, Pet Sounds, which is just a gigantic part of music history, and none of that really comes into this battle, but it's one of those records, in my opinion, that when you listen to it, it lives up to the hype. You can listen to Pet Sounds one time and go, oh, I totally get why this is such a big deal, why the Beatles wanted to live up to it, why Pink Floyd was inspired by it, why 50 years later we're still going, holy cow, Brian, really? All of that out of your head? I think Wouldn't It Be Nice is up there with some of the most amazing openers in the history of music. I would put it up against Teen Spirit or Jungle or any of the other songs we've talked about. Ambitions as a Rider, I would put it solidly up against those. And the reason why is because the song totally sets you up for what you're going to hear all throughout Pet Sounds. The lyrics are amazing. The harmonies are insane. The Wrecking Crew, for those of you who don't know, everybody should know, but that's the studio band who's playing behind the Beach Boys in on the Pet Sounds record, and pretty much every other song you ever have loved from the 60s is the Wrecking Crew. They're absolutely on fire through the track. That leads into You Still Believe in Me, which might be my single favorite recorded song of all time by anyone. It's such an amazing, amazing cut. It takes everything that Wouldn't It Be Nice does and elevates it to the next level, which is what track 2 should do on a record. So it does its job. I mean, I could go on about each of these songs forever. That's Not Me is an amazing upbeat number. And if you look at the lyrics, it's telling the story of exactly what's going on in Brian's mind, which he was slowly losing at the time. And it's amazing that he was able to put that down in addition to coming up with these monster harmonies and melodies and whatnot. I'm Waiting for the Day is another one that's just like these crushing, heartbreaking lyrics that's set to this like really big, I mean, the song starts out with this like big timpani and, you know, really gets into a huge upbeat swing. And then the lyrics are just crushing heartbreak. The Sloop John B is the big one that people debate on the record. Brian Wilson didn't even want it on the album. It's the only song that he didn't have a hand in writing since it's a cover. I like it a lot, but
it's a cover?
Yeah, the Sloop John B is a cover, and Brian did not want it on the record, but it is there, and I like it a lot. The detractors, the people that don't like the song, don't like it because Pet Sounds isn't exactly a concept record, but it very much is in as much as the lyrics are connected between the mourning for love that Brian had and not wanting to lose himself in what he was doing, and the Sloop John B just has nothing to do with that whatsoever. I mean, obviously it was written by someone else about, you know, boating with your uncle, so has nothing to do with it, but the Beach Boys spin that's put on it is perfect. And again, the Wrecking Crew brings all of the thunder to it. God Only Knows, I will leave you with this. The only thing I could say 1,000 things about God Only Knows, and instead I'll tell you this. Probably McCartney said it's the greatest song ever written. So when you have a Beatle, and not only a Beatle, but one half of Lennon McCartney telling you it's the greatest song ever written, that probably speaks for itself. Side note, there's a Pet Sounds live album, and right before they do God Only Knows, Brian Wilson drops the double whammy with this next song. My friend Paul McCartney told me it was the greatest song ever written. I'm like, well, first of all, you had to say my friend Paul McCartney first of all, and then second of all, you had to throw that out there, you know. And then you got the triple shot of I Know There's an Answer, Here Today, and I Just Wasn't Made for These Times. Again, if you listen to these lyrics, you hear the aching heart and mind of Brian Wilson behind these insane harmonies and melodies, and just I can't. It's to this day, this record is hard for me to wrap my head around, and it's 50 years old and been praised by everybody. Pet Sounds, the title cut is just a fun instrumental. I don't look into it too deeply myself. Fun fact about Caroline No, the track that closes out the record, I could give you 10 guesses as to what the lead single is off of this record, and you would never guess Caroline No. That was the lead single off of this record. Yeah. So it's what the record label chose. They wanted to ease fans away from In My Room and Surfing USA and Surfer Girl into what they were going to be doing on this record. So what's ironic for me is I would never have chosen it for the lead single, but it's a fantastic closer to the record. Like, it really winds down everything, and it doesn't delve into anywhere near as deep of thought process that all of the other lyrics of the record do. So for me, it's a great wind down, in as much as Wouldn't It Be Nice is a great, you drop that needle in it, boom, you're off and running. So it's as good of a closer as Wouldn't It Be Nice as an opener. So that is my very truncated thoughts on the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds. If we were going to make these bonus episodes 4 hours long, I could probably include my entire notes, but that's everything that I had. Kyle, did you spend some time listening to it? And if so, did you have some thoughts?
I did, and my one major gripe about this album, and I'm probably going to get my eyes virtually bludgeoned for this, is it's too, despite the sadness that's involved in the record, it is too upbeat and jingly to me. Earlier I compared it to Pharrell's Happy, whatever the hell the song he did for the Minions movie.
All right, I was with you till that part, but go on. I wasn't going to attack you till that comparison, but go on. I will hear the rest of the argument. Let's put it that way.
Not that it sounds like it, but that song, that Pharrell song, annoys me to the point where, because it's just too upbeat and too like. And I feel like every couple songs is like that on this album, and like I don't know. I don't like to. I guess I prefer an album that's kind of like back and forth and up and down emotionally. And though it is lyrically sad, it's so upbeat that like it's hard for me to want to listen to all the time. And with that being said, I completely understand its importance in music and Brian Wilson being a genius and the whole nine yards. And watching the movie about him made me appreciate appreciate him and that whole situation even more. But like for me, it wouldn't be a record that I would go and say just randomly pick out of something versus something else.
Let's see here. We've had a case presented for both records, which means that now we're on to Michelle's notes. We're not going to get the rating just yet, which is I've become fearful of every week. We'll get the ratings after we get the decision. But Michelle, share with us your notes on Dermot Kennedy's Without Fear.
All right. This album I had listened to before and I listen to regularly. I do enjoy it. I do think it has an amazing first track, An Evening I Will Not Forget. And it just, every single, so I had the exact opposite problem of you, Russ. I was like listening to it because I've listened to it so many times. And I was like, I just want to refresh myself on this record. And I kept being like, what song is this? And it would be like one song later. And I was like, that's a jam. That's a jam. That's a jam. I literally stopped halfway through and I was like, I'm pretty sure I like all these songs. Like I couldn't, like there was no point in the record where I was like, I would have skipped any of the songs, which is rare for me. I think Moments Past is probably my favorite song on the record. But like I said, there was not one song that I disliked on the entire record. I do like just the overall vibe. The overall vibe of the record is it's right up my alley. If anybody knows me, I completely agree. It's David Gray, Mumford & Sons mashup later records sort of thing. And I just love this record. So I don't have anything bad to say about it.
Cool. I think I could be wrong, but that might be the first record in the tournament so far that you didn't have something bad to say about. So,
yeah.
I'm going to guess you have plenty bad to say about Pet Sounds just from knowing you. So let's move on to Pet Sounds.
That's not true.
Before you continue, I will say that when I first tried to get Michelle to listen to this album or listen to Dermot Kennedy's album, she was not having it. Eventually, she started listening to it and it grew on her, but she did not.
I don't like being told what to do.
That's true.
So Pet Sounds, I've listened to this record before, and I really like the Beach Boys. I really do like this record. I agree with you, Russ, that Wouldn't It Be Nice is just a bomb first track. It's up there with one of the best first tracks that we've had on any record this whole competition. Even though it slows down after that, I feel like there was a nice flow to the record. Sloop John B is also my favorite song on the record, and I did not know it was a cover. Let's Go Away for a While has this weird little outro. I think it was that song. That's what I wrote down. And it's like in the middle of the album. So like I feel like that didn't fit. But other than that, I didn't have any. There was no stinkers on this album for me.
Brian Wilson's got to be excited.
I actually listened to this record, and I'm going to ask you this, Russ. Does it matter? I listened to it at the remastered version, and then I listened to it again, the mono version. Like, through my computer speakers, am I listening to anything different?
Through a setup like that, you're not going to hear any difference. And if you ask the next 100 people, quote unquote, Pet Sounds experts about mono versus stereo with this particular record, you're going to get 100 different answers. So,
that I was expecting anything different. I was just like, well, I'm listening to it again, so I might as well pick a different one, and I didn't notice anything different.
If it matters at all, it was originally recorded in mono.
Okay.
So
the only one I didn't actually get on the record, which is the title track, not that there's anything to get, like I didn't dislike it. I was just like, I guess maybe I never heard it before. Like maybe it's always been there, but I never heard it. But I guess I probably also have a better understanding after watching Love and Mercy. So
yeah.
Which helps a lot. I understand a lot more, but I really enjoyed the record.
Oh, I forgot the biggest plus for Pet Sounds. Mike Love doesn't like it, and Mike Love's an idiot. So
I've heard that. I have a question though. So
wait, just real quick, I want to point out one more thing about Mike Love being an idiot.
Okay.
We talked about the PMRC a couple of main episodes back, and they got a ton of their funding from Mike Love. That's how big of an idiot Mike Love is. So the one person who helped fund the PMRC doesn't like Pet Sounds. So just throwing that in there. You had a question for me?
Yeah. Well, so I don't know. On Spotify, It says original mono and stereo mix versions. And then in the middle, there's a song called, I didn't listen to it, Hang On to Your Ego.
That's
And I don't know.
that's the original lyrics of I Know There's an Answer. It's just
I'll
a
have to
demo.
go back and listen to it.
Yeah, it's just a demo of I Know There's an Answer when it was called Hang On to Your Ego.
Was that just like a bonus track when they re-released it? Or
Yeah, the record's been re-released, and I want to understate this, about 11 billion times.
I can only imagine. It's been out for a billion years.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, the whole... I could derail this easily, but the whole project was originally going to be, there was a follow-up record that was going to be called Smile, that a lot of Good Vibrations came out of those sound sessions and so on. And the record's just been beat to death as far as reissues and remasters, and we found 13 more seconds of this track, or so as you might expect with such a seminal record, like, for I'm not saying it's right, but the record label's gonna beat it for all it's worth.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. The Beach Boys, I don't know which one it was, but it was one of the first cassette tapes I ever owned when I was a kid. It was probably just a hand-me-down. My mom handed it to me, but I remember wearing that out in the car. So they're right up my alley. So I really liked both records this week. So it's definitely a tough one.
Yeah, this week is tough, and going forward is ridiculous. So, all right. Do you have a ruling ready for us?
I do.
Sweet. All right. Give us 1 second. We're going to take a quick break, and we will come back for the ruling and the chit and the chat and the chin wag and so on. So we'll be back in just a second.
Hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith. Everybody knows at the root of any good relationship, any relationship worth anything, is the only thing that matters between two people. And I'm talking about television. That's right. That's why you should listen to Married with Television, man, which is a podcast by my friends Shannon and Jamie, I call her cat ears, about movies and TV that they have loved for decades, man. You listen at marriedwithtv.com or anywhere you get your podcasts. They are proud members of the Odd Pods Media Network, man. Married with Television.
Hi, I'm Tina Jaramillo.
And I'm Hillary Doherty.
And we host the Muck Podcast, where we discuss the dark and sometimes weird true stories in American politics.
Hey, Tina, did you know that Elvis crashed the Nixon White House for the sole purpose of getting a DEA badge, and it worked?
What? Or how a gun control advocate senator out of California engaged in gun trafficking with notorious gang leader Shrimp Boy?
Shrimp Boy, I remember him. Okay, so, we cover all of that and more from maladies, madness, mischief, and murder in U.S. politics.
And we also host a bi-weekly interview segment called Lil Muck.
We interview politicians, journalists, activists, and others who share their experiences in politics.
Find the Muck Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and check us out on social media at the Muck Podcast.
And we are back. We are into the second half of episode 6. So we have Dermot Kennedy's 2019 album Without Fear up against the Beach Boys' 1966 album Pet Sounds. Kyle and I both made our cases for it earlier in the episode, and I believe Michelle has a final ruling ready. Do you, Michelle?
I do.
She does, and here it comes. Which album is moving on?
It's Dermot Kennedy.
Wow.
But by a hair. So
Dermot, and I just want to be clear about this. You're telling me that this guy in 2019 made a record that sounds like David Gray and Mumford & Sons, and somehow it's better than one of the most influential records of all time. I'm not being,
me, yes.
I'm asked to you. Okay. I just wanted to ask.
And I know that that's going to make people upset, and I appreciate Pet Sounds, and it has its place, but if I'm going to put on a record between Pet Sounds and Dermot Kennedy, it's going to be Dermot Kennedy.
Wow. All right. I don't really have any other reaction for you.
I gave it, so Pet Sounds got a 7 out of 10, and Dermot Kennedy got an 8 out of 10.
Well, we've moved past 5 out of 10, so we're getting somewhere now.
Holy cow. Not on this planet or any other is Pet Sounds a 7 out of 10. Like you, I just want to be clear. You realize this record is responsible for Sgt. Pepper and the Dark Side of the Moon. like directly responsible for those two records happening.
Yeah, but we're not talking about that.
And
we're talking about.
you are. You're talking about the quality of Pet Sounds, and you're saying it's a 7 out of 10. So when John and Paul heard it and they were blown away and they decided to make Sgt. Pepper, they're just wrong. Like it wasn't as good as they thought it was.
No, it might have been it's a 10 out of 10 to them. I'm not saying how everyone else listens to a record. I'm telling you how I listen to it.
I see. Okay, well, all right. That is the way it breaks down. We got to go about it that way. So, as I've been saying, we are going to get this gets more difficult as the weeks go on. The next week, I do not envy you even a little bit with the matchup that's happening next week. Next week is 1977's Rumors LP by Fleetwood Mac, and it's going up against a little-known record called Music from the motion picture Purple Rain, which was recorded by Prince and the Revolution in 1984. So that is, I mean, it's two records that are just monster records. So dare I say that both of those records are going to get an 8 or above. But then again, what do I know? I listen to shitty music like Pet Sounds. So how would I know?
No, I like Pet Sounds, and there are no stinkers.
How does no stinkers equate to a 7? How do you get to a 7 if you don't have any stinkers? Would one not require stinkers to be brought down from a 10 to a 7? Help me help you. Help me help the amount of things that are going to be.
Either, so.
Yeah. Help me deflect.
10 out of 10. No. So like just because there were no stinkers does not mean that the songs on there were 100% amazing. They just weren't. There were some of them that were just okay. They were there and I liked them. There were some that were better than others, but
it was less smelly than other ones that had stinkers on it.
Yes, it was less smelly. But I guess maybe I shouldn't be a teacher because I would just give everyone average grades because you got to be.
The whole class would have a C all the time.
Yeah, apparently.
That's average. It's fine.
That's I think they should put that on the hype stickers of Pet Sounds going forward. 1966 masterpiece featuring the Wrecking Crew, the genius of Brian Wilson. It's average. I think that's what they should. That's what they should put that on the Pet Sounds hype stickers because it's going to get reissued again, like we talked about. So why not just throw the Michelle quote at it?
No stinkers. It's average. It's fine.
I'll let them use my name.
Holy cow. All right. Well, as I usually do about this time, I apologize on behalf of Michelle. And we were talking during the break about needing to drum up more comments and whatnot on our social media. I don't think that's going to be a problem this week. So
you're welcome.
Yeah. Thanks, I guess. So, if you have not broken your phone, please by all means know that next week you'll be able to listen to us on it, and we will have Fleetwood Mac Rumors up against Prince and the Revolution, music from the motion picture Purple Rain. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Then we have one more round after that of the main round, the first round. Then after that, all of these records we've been discussing are going to start going up against each other and returning to the tournament. So should be a lot of fun. It's going to be a whole lot of 5s going up against a bunch of 6s. It's going to be a barn burner.
That Fleetwood Mac and Prince is going to be a tough one there.
That's a hell of a ride. That's a hell of a ride. So we'll I predict that one of the two records will have at least one stinker on it. I'll tell you more about that later after we hear Michelle's thoughts on it. So in any case, we thank y'all for listening. I hope no one pulled over during this and had a issue and or broke their phone. We are not responsible for anyone breaking their electronics. If you did, you absolutely have to take that to the nearest Sprint store or Apple store or the Genius Bar or whatever. We are not responsible for that. Well, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to meet Michelle in the middle of the neighborhood for a fist fight. So thanks for listening. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.